super excited to be here with you today to talk about our district's journey through helping to develop the emotional skills, emotional support that our students need and the essential skills that they need to succeed. My name is Janette Stubbs and I am the Professional Development Coordinator in Iron County School District, and this is Cory Henwood. He's our Digital Teaching and Learning Specialist. Iron County School District is in southern Utah, and we have a smaller district, a population of about 10,000 students. We have a good attendance rate and little mobility. But we are about 50% of students that in low-income status, and we are third in our state for intergenerational poverty. And we just started to see a lot of needs in our students that we weren't being able to handle and deal with. Our district in the last few years has tried to follow the high reliability schools framework of Marzano. We've established some great collaborative cultures, great teaching practices in our school district, and we've got some strong common curriculum that we're using and moving up this scale. But we're seeing this need to help support some of our self-managed learners. And in the past 2 years, our principals were coming to us and saying, we have these kids that we just don't know how to help. They're difficult. And so we looked at a lot of different options, including some behavior units that we might put these students in to help support them, and it just didn't feel right. And so we started to look at a lot of other things, like we went to San Francisco Unified and looked at their wellness rooms, their HEARTS program. We looked at the ACEs study, watched Paper Tigers and Resilience, and spent a lot of time looking at things that we could use to support. And eventually we came across the poem by Joseph Malins called The Ambulance Down in the Valley. And it talks about we knew we had these kids hanging on the edge of a cliff. Some were falling off the cliff, and we had a choice to make as a district. We could be the best ambulance down at the bottom of the hill, picking up these kids when they fall, or we can build a fence at the top of the hill and prevent them from falling. And so we established these strong PBIS structures in our schools. We have great programs to help see how those are working and how to establish those and look at the data that goes along with that. We have trainings that we're using with our schools to be able to see and make sure our teachers understand what trauma-informed practices are, how wellness and resilience, restorative practices are going. We've established wellness rooms in our schools where kids can take this little time out and go back to class, and after they feel a lot better with that. And then we also have behavior coaches in every school, counselors, and we've now put 8 social workers in our schools to have that Tier 2 and Tier 3 intervention. And then one of our most exciting things is in every elementary classroom by the end of next year, they'll have 15 to 30 minutes of yoga, calm, and wellness practices in their schools as well. And finally, restorative practices is something that we're doing over the next 5 years, training in a systematic way to help that become part of our school system as well. Finally, the results are in some of the things that we're seeing in our schools. Number one indicator, visiting with a lot of teachers just recently, and they felt most confident this year about the relationships they were building with kids. And that was a big win for me. Another big win is we have been able to stop 5 suicide plans just this year and get them the help that they need. One of the things we didn't realize, we have an alternative high school that we if kids can't function in our high schools, we have this place for them that's in a little bit of a different environment. They had 83 kids at the beginning of this, and now they're down to 23. We're trying to repurpose that high school because we're helping them in those schools, and that's not something that they necessarily need anymore. And so we're excited about that. And finally, we have a little boy named Trexton who his day starts out by taking his grandpa off onto a sled, walking to a bathroom and helping him take care of his needs, putting him back in his bed, and then heading to school. He doesn't care about learning, but now Trexton knows that he has a future, he has people that love him, and that college is an option for him. And those are the reasons why we do the things that we do.
Awesome, thanks Janette. It's important work what we're doing in Iron County School District, and validating the work that we've done in social emotional learning, kind of moving to the next steps of that high reliability schools framework that we showed at the beginning. Those final 2 steps were standards reference reporting and competency-based education. And in validating the work that we've done previously, we wanted to ask our community, what are the essential skills that our students, as they graduate, will need to be successful in their future? And so we asked them. We asked for their input. We asked from business leaders to post-secondary educators, to parents, to our own educators, to students themselves. What are those skills that you'll need? And these are the top 8 things that came out. Things like the 4 C's of critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, and communication, to others that are more dispositional, like responsibility, growth mindset, resilience, and even financial and informational literacy. So we have these pieces here that we've been dedicated to working on. It's noteworthy to note what is not included in this. And I think it's not only things like academic content mastery were not indicated by our stakeholders as things that were most essential, right? Which is funny. As a school district, maybe it's because we already do a pretty decent job of those things and we focus on those things already. Or maybe it's because content is maybe more now ubiquitous than it's ever been and at our students' fingertips. But in any case, these have been recognized as the things that are most essential. This isn't simply a well-designed graphic that we will put up on our website next to a mission statement or in pamphlets home or in posters in the classroom. This needs to have real implications for what we do. And so what we decided to do is actually adopt these 8 pieces as standards for our county. And so our county's school district has adopted these 8 as standards that will be taught and assessed in classrooms. Teachers have come together with the benefit of some research in our universities to provide and create proficiency scales that indicate what is the success criteria at each grade level for each of these 8 skills, so that teachers can look for those things as they're assessing them and reporting them on these things. Okay, so it's an important piece, and as we transition, as I mentioned earlier, into standards reference reporting and even competency-based education, what does this look like? So we have our report of what we've done, and our students are able to be evaluated on each of these pieces, including curricular skills, but also what we've done here. So parents can see the progress, so teachers can have that data as well. Lastly, as we move into competency-based frameworks, this is our plan for the future, that we see us building a school as of 2020 that will have students moving ahead as mastery based on these things. It's not natural for education systems to value these skills in the same way that we're promoting. But what I'm suggesting is that if you think that they're valuable, don't be afraid to make them count. In this slide here, we are counting those skills towards their grade in our secondary schools. Don't be afraid to make these skills count. They're important. Don't simply put them on a mission statement and say they're important somewhere if you're not willing to count them. These do not need to be justified by some academic achievement metrics like resilience somehow makes you better at math. These are what the ends need to be, and that's where we'll leave you. Thank you.